with our heads. Most gracious God, our Father, we are eternally thankful for this opportunity that you have afforded us to gather in this place. We pray for guidance and understanding in all matters and decisions that are made today. We ask that you would bless and protect the children and our teachers and all of our administrators of Newton County School System, that you would watch over us in our daily walk, protect us and guide us in all matters. We pray that you would bless our community, this state and our country, and we ask, God, that you would just be with us today in this place and give us your protection and your guidance. Bless our Board of Education members, our superintendent, and all that gather in this place today. We ask it all. Amen. Amen. Stand for our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, moving on. I do not believe we have any special recognition. I do want to welcome, we have one Boy Scout. Thank you for coming. We have public participation. I believe we have two. You want to read that? Sure.
Public participation is the time that the board has set aside to encourage you as members of our community to voice your opinion on any matter either included on or excluded from the printed agenda. A maximum time of 5 minutes will be allotted to a single individual or a single topic based on the number of requests. Complaints against any employee of the school system will not be heard unless the complaint has been submitted in writing to the superintendent at least 7 days prior to the board meeting. If unresolved, any personal complaints about school personnel must be put in writing for the board to review in executive session. Personal attacks against any member of the board will not be tolerated. Once the time for public participation has passed, discussion of topics will be restricted to board members only. Thank you in advance for complying with this request. Madam Chairman, we have two people signed up for public participation. We have Mr. Richard Moore and Mr. Brett Jacobs. So we'll have Mr. Richard Moore first.
All right, thank you.
Do I have the floor?
Mm-hmm. Yes. You want to come to the mic, sir?
And we'll allow, since we have two, we'll 5 minutes each.
I may have to come back next week. My name is Richard Moore. I have been a resident of Newton County for 30 years. I have no children, no grandchildren. I have had no contact with public education over the last 60-plus years. I am a child of God, disciple of Christ, and a defender of the free enterprise system, and everything else is irrelevant. My issue is evolution in public schools, grade schools. Evolution is a fairy tale that was born in the mind of a man who was angry with God. And if you want to study evolution, you need to enroll in Emory University, where you pay tuition and sit under those clowns who showed themselves last year when Dr. Ben Carson came and presented his message to the student body. Now, 3 points here. In 1892, the Supreme Court of the United States declared emphatically that America is a Christian nation. Now, this was 30 years before the Scopes trial. It took place in 1925. And recently I received my copy of the Swartz Report, which has been in publication since the days of the John Birch Society 50 years ago. Some of you might not remember the John Birch Society. In my copy this month were 9 reasons why evolution cannot possibly be true. And in the issue that will follow next month, we'll have 4 reasons why evolution cannot be true. In America today, we abide by the Constitution, and last Thursday I heard an excellent presentation on the Bill of Rights, which I greatly appreciate. But we have no rights under the Constitution until we assume our responsibilities under the Bible. The foundation for our political, economic, and educational system is a copy of the Constitution resting on the infallible, the inerrant, and the inspired Word of God. Now, that's number 2. A member of the National Education Association said, "We're not concerned that our high school graduates are functional illiterate. At least we've had 12 years to divest their minds of religious superstition." Then there is 2 years ago, a man came to this community with a 5-hour seminar. He was a graduate of Berkeley, received his PhD, and was a staunch member of the theory of evolution. But then he decided, well, I'll have to be able to refute the Bible, so he started studying the Scripture. Guess what? He became a Christian, as any intelligent person will do. And today, he takes his seminar and he blows evolution out of the water. And he travels this country and in many foreign countries. And there are 100 other people that are in camp with him can do the same thing. Now, in evolution, they have never answered the question of spontaneous generation or the transmutation of species. And from my position, if you believe the theory of evolution, you are an atheist. And if you're an atheist, you stand with the communists. You cannot be an American. And what do I want out of this? Well, I would suggest that we remove evolution from public schools where they are a captive audience. Number 1. Number 2, I'd like to have exemption from the school tax. This has nothing to do with the amount, it has to do with the principle. Why Christians should finance the destruction of this country. And then number 3, my neighbor has been homeschooling for the past 10 years. They have struggled financially, and they now have 4 very fine boys, well-behaved, and I would like to for her to have vouchers from the public education system to cover her expenses financially. All right, my 5 minutes is up.
Yes, sir, your 5
If you have
minutes
any
are up.
questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. All right, the next person is Mr. Brett Jacobs.
Good evening, Board. I'm Brett Jacobs. I'm the president of New Rock Youth Football and Cheerleading Association. We're based here in Newton County. We are a completely volunteer organization. If any of y'all have watched pro football in the last week, we are a USA Football certified organization, which is a sister organization of the NFL. We are also a USA Football Heads Up organization, which is their concussion awareness program. Not many in this state are in that program, but we are. Youth football is declining in the U.S. However, we have grown in the last 6 years. It's decreased in the U.S. by 6%, yet we've grown from 140 6 years ago to almost 180 now. We follow the rules set by each facility we use, not our own rules. Meaning, we practice at Porterdale right now, we have to come through the county, I understand that. But the rec also practices over there, I went by there today, there's 4 cars parked on that field today. And they have to drive right by a sign that says no parking, no driving on this field. And I feel like we follow every rule we need to follow, but yet the rec, to me, uses you as a board to get what they want, because they don't follow any rules. I have 5 kids on scholarship from Porterdale that we pay for completely from head to toe, football and cheerleaders. I have at least 2 coaches go over there at least twice a month and read to a class that Dr. Dodson points out. We'll go read to them. We give back. We have a canned food drive every year. We give to either a church or a food pantry here in Newton every year. We donate money to the Susan G. Komen Foundation every year during October for our breast cancer awareness months, for our home games. Our gate goes towards Susan G. Komen. We have approximately 180 children in our organization. 150 of those are from Newton County. 3 years ago, we had to leave Newton County because I didn't feel like fighting the rec. We went to Conyers 3 nights a week from 6:30 to 8:30. To me, that's tax money this county is losing because my parents eat in Conyers before they come back here. We have a free football and cheerleading camp every year that's promoted by 11 Alive. It started at 100 kids. Last year we had 230 kids. We have a free tutorial program for our kids. If they have a problem with, their parents have a problem with any kind of grades going on, we have a free tutorial person that will come to the field and tutor them on site. We create volunteer opportunities for adults and youth alike, meaning we play at Newton County High School, the new field. I have probably 30 kids there every Saturday, and they're talking to those kids, and these kids I have age from 4 to 12 at New Rock look up to these kids in a way you wouldn't understand. I'll be honest with you, especially after this past week. We have numerous players and cheerleaders that are not only stars on the field, but off the field as well. We have players and cheerleaders at Newton, Alcovey, Eastside, Rockdale, Heritage, Salem, Union Grove, Morgan County, South Gwinnett, Shiloh, and Henry County. They come from our program. So in this thing y'all are going to go through later on that has my name attached to it, I just want y'all to see if y'all can look at this and see if y'all can grant me approval for those fields. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, superintendent's report. Dr. Lockhart, I believe you've got both operations and curriculum.
Financial report.
Oh, Peggy, I'm sorry. My notes, I'm sorry, I have your name. I apologize.
Okay, for the month of August, our SPOS collection was $847,562, which was $4,691 less than last month. We're still averaging about $42,000 more than SPOS 2. Our new auto tax, we have the July figure, which was $124,585, and that new tax is averaging about $131,700 a month. The financial statement again this month, we've accrued a lot of the revenues and expenditures into last year, so it looks kind of sparse, but we'll get back to normal in September after we finish closing out last year. We are finished closing as far as expenditures. I'm just waiting for the final tax information, which I should have within the next few days. And that's it, I think.
All right, do you have any questions? Thank you. All right, now Dr. Lockhart.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. A few items just to make you aware of in the operations report. Under maintenance and operations, item 2, the door security system for staff access using fobs is operational at all schools except for the STEM Institute and Alcovey. These 2 schools should be operational no later than the end of September. I want to just give you an update on the carbon monoxide sensors. They've not been installed in any of the schools. An expert panel was appointed by the state school superintendent, John Barge, to make a recommendation regarding carbon monoxide sensors based on fire codes and engineering expertise. The committee made their recommendation to the superintendent in May, and this project will remain on hold until the final recommendation is issued from the governor. Student transportation, average per gallon cost of diesel fuel purchased during August was $3.40. In August 2012, 1 year ago, the average cost was $3.32. Ombudsman report. The total enrollment as of September the 13th is 45 students at the east location and 48 students at the west location. Session 1 is the middle school. Sessions 2 and 3 are the high school sessions. There have been no calls to law enforcement this year, and as of today, knocking on prophetic wood, no bus issues. Procurement. The Newton County School System has been awarded the prestigious 18th Annual Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award for 2013 from the National Purchasing Institute. The award recognizes excellence in procurement by measuring organizations against standardized benchmarks that represent best practices within the profession. This is the second consecutive year the procurement department has won the AEP award, and if you would please join me in a round of applause for them. School nutrition, items of note in item number 2, the average daily breakfast participation for the month was about 40%. Elementary schools averaged 50% participation, while secondary schools averaged 31%. Also for your note, item number 4, Georgia-grown watermelons and Vidalia onions were served at lunch during August as part of the Farm to School initiative the school nutrition program commits to during this school year. Are there any questions in regards to the operations report?
Don't believe so.
Moving forward with the curriculum, instruction, and technology report. Just looking at a few key notes here. Item number 3, all administrators have attended a workshop where they have been trained by Georgia's new teacher keys and leader keys evaluation systems. Most schools have conducted orientation meetings for their teachers on the new evaluation system. Moving forward, under the items support activities 7 through 11, there are various trainings that our staff members have attended throughout this time. A lot of great learning taking place there. I'd like to draw your attention to item number 15. The Georgia Department of Education conducted the CTAE Office of Civil Rights Compliance Review on August 27, 2013. The 3 high schools and Newton College and Career Academy were visited by a review team. They focus on several areas, the administrative area, site location, student eligibility criteria, recruitment, admissions, career counseling, services for students with disabilities, accessibility, comparable facilities, work-study programs, and employment of faculty and staff. A letter from the Georgia Department will be forthcoming to highlight commendations and recommendations. Item 16, Newton College and Career Academy received visits from multiple groups in August. That is a place where there are constantly various groups going in, learning about this product. Our Career Academy is a model that the entire state is looking at. We're very proud of their work. And that concludes the curriculum and instruction technology report. Are there any questions specific to this report?
I'd like to one comment, if you will.
Yes, sir.
The view path system.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any minimum requirements that the teachers or instructors should be used? For an example, I'm supposed to wear my mic all times. I'm supposed to keep the camera on all times. Do we have any restrictions or standard operating procedures on that?
The expectation that's been communicated to the faculty and staff is that everyone should have their teardrop microphone around the neck. That should be on, that should be in use in all classrooms, and the camera should be on. It does not record at all times. The teachers choose when they would like to record, but the camera should be on and the teardrop should be around the neck.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All right, our presentation, Ms. Shannon Buff.
Good evening, everyone. Beginning in the spring of last year, we were approached by Insight Education Group to conduct a pilot that utilized the ViewPath system to have online instructional coaching. This pilot was very successful. The teachers enjoyed it. They got very good feedback. They gave us very good feedback about the professional learning that they received. Last fall, we adopted the Common Core Georgia Performance Standards in mathematics. As you can see, the results that we got were not what we expected on the state level and definitely not at the district level. The curriculum was much more rigorous. It was different for the teachers, it was different for the students, it was difficult for all of them. And if you'll look, I'm showing you this because it's broken down by the 3 domains. I wanted to point this out because if you look at the statistics and probability on the end, that is the part of the curriculum that had the most rigorous questions and equations for the students to solve, and we struggled with that. The reason that I wanted to bring this forward to the board today is because we feel that a partnership with Insight Education Group would be very beneficial to us to build capacity within our mathematics department. I would like to introduce Gina Futch. She is a teacher at Newton High School who participated in the pilot, and she's going to share her experience with you.
Good evening. As Ms. Buff said, I'm Gina Futch, and I'm a U.S. history teacher at Newton High School. I'm going to discuss with you my experience with observations in general, my experience with the Insight program, and then the values of that program. First of all, as a student teacher, I always looked forward to Observation Day because I knew I was going to get some valuable insight. First of all, my observer was going to be someone who knew my content and knew my lesson. I knew I would walk away from that observation with ideas about classroom management, how to improve that, how to improve my instructional strategies, and just in general, how to improve my content knowledge. I would know where my weaknesses were. When I became a classroom teacher at Newton High School, I was excited and anxious to get my observations, and I wanted to know what I was doing right. I wanted to know what I could do better. Honestly, I was a little bit disappointed with the results, and that's not because the feedback was negative. In fact, it was very positive. What it did was it let me know that my instructional strategies were solid, so that was good. What it didn't do was help me develop my curriculum and my content. The bottom line was I was looking for the kind of feedback I received as a student teacher. I had grown tremendously at the end of my first year. I credit that to a lot of professional development that was very helpful, a great PLC in U.S. history that helped me grow, and also the implementation of research-based instructional strategies, but I couldn't help but feel that if I had had some personalized feedback based on what I was doing in the classroom, I could be even better. So last May, I was invited to be a part of the pilot program that we were doing with Insight Education Group, and I was really excited when I learned that Insight provides insight for teachers, and this is based on observations from experienced educators, and those educators are always familiar with the content of the teacher they're observing. I can think of no professional development tool that has been more helpful for me than this kind of feedback based on my own performance in the classroom. Now, the most helpful thing that I found about the program was being able to ask questions and receive suggestions, especially about the content. The lesson I submitted was a review for the end of course test, and it was about compromises in U.S. history. There are a lot of compromises in U.S. history, and it's very tricky for students. It's a problem area, especially when we get to the end of the year. So I was very pleased with the feedback I received. She actually suggested that we use primary sources to teach these compromises. Now, I know that might seem simple, but I've been in on a lot of conversations about how to improve instruction regarding these particular standards, and that idea has never, ever come up. So it was novel, and I really appreciated it, and I'm looking forward to implementing that with my PLC in the next couple of weeks. So on to the benefits of this. They're numerous, and I'll name a few. First of all, this is very relevant professional development because it's based on what the teacher is actually doing in her classroom. It's very hard to argue with video footage of yourself. The next thing is that this, to me, seemed more beneficial than the traditional type of observation because the feedback is almost real time, so teachers are able to implement changes more quickly. Teachers are also more involved in this process because they're not only being evaluated, they're also able to ask for help in a safe place. So that's really invaluable. That process feels more like being talked with rather than being talked at, and everybody's more receptive to that. Teachers are also able to choose the lesson that they would like to submit, so this cuts down on the feeling that, oh my goodness, I just got observed on a really off day when that lesson fell apart. And sometimes it's good to have it fall apart so you can see what you can do differently in the future and to even have feedback from that. The final thing, and this is huge as a teacher, is that this observer has a different kind of credibility because she is familiar with the content. Teachers are more receptive to critical feedback, and they value praise more when it comes from a content area expert. Are there any questions I can answer for you tonight? Okay, thank you for your time.
If you'll recall, last year when Newton High School came to speak to you about ViewPath, one of the things that I mentioned was the huge value for professional learning and professional development that ViewPath could provide us. This is just another example of how we can use this to our benefit. We don't have any other system that has ViewPath spread as widely as we do. So I think this is a great first step for us to use this product for professional development. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Richard Nyan-Corey. He's the Executive Vice President of Insight Education Group. He is a former special education teacher in Baltimore Public Schools, and he has also served as the Deputy Chancellor of Special Education with the DC Public Schools.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and to be back in Newton. As Shannon just told you, I'm the Executive Vice President of Insight Education Group. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Insight, tell you about the proposal that we have to assist with Algebra 1 and especially performance on the end of course test, and answer any questions about the proposal in front of you. Insight Education Group has been around for the last 11 years. We're based in Encino, California, which is right outside of Los Angeles. We have offices throughout the country. I am a resident of Henry County, and I live in Stockbridge. We have other Insight employees here in Georgia as well as around the country. We work with school districts, large and small. One of our areas of expertise is making sure that students of color and students from low-income backgrounds achieve at commensurate levels with their peers. We focus on two things primarily at Insight. The first is all around supporting districts and states on the implementation of teacher evaluation systems. We have a very specific philosophy around teacher evaluation. We believe it should be about growth versus gotcha. And as part of growth, it is the professional development through our coaching, through supporting resources, our tech tools that we use to help support teachers. We definitely believe that some educators might not be the right fit either in the district or for teaching, and we want to make sure that our students have the best possible educators in front of them. The other thing that we focus a lot on is Common Core, or College Career Ready Standards implementation. We offer a variety of professional development and tools to make sure that happens. One of the things that we do with our Common Core, or College and Career Ready Standards implementation, is coaching. We have been instructional coaches for the last 11 years. We've worked in schools large and small, but particularly our coaching has been most beneficial in areas where there has been significant or persistent low achievement. It's where we seem to do our best work and where we see the most benefit. Last year we had a great last school year rather, we had a great opportunity to work with your former superintendent, Dr. Matthews, and specifically with Ms. Fury on the pilot program that Ms. Fury just talked to you about. It was a tremendous opportunity for us. One, because we see Newton County Schools as a leader in using ViewPath. I have the opportunity, and I'm blessed to be able to visit school systems around the country every single week. And Newton County Schools is in my top 3 of what I love talking about and the type of potential that we see for the algebra project. As you know, Algebra 1 particularly is an important gateway course for many students. It's so important, it has social justice implications about continuing on to college, and we can trace achievement in Algebra 1 to many positive life outcomes and the exact opposite as well. We take Algebra 1 very, very seriously, as well as early literacy, which is another big focus of ours. So when we learned about your challenges with algebra on the end of course test, one of the things that we thought might work very well is to propose a hybrid coaching model in which you can use your ViewPath system to get online coaching as well as in-person intensive coaching. We feel like the hybrid model works well, and it's one that we are excited about because of the investment that you guys have made already in ViewPath and the pilot program that you heard about. We are proposing 4 deliverables for you here. First is a strategic planning meeting. We don't believe any of our work is successful unless it matches the instructional priorities that you've already laid forth. I meet with teachers and superintendents and district leaders and state leaders around the country, and one of the things they say are that teachers, principals, are just tired and have some fatigue because there's so much on the plate and they see disconnected activities. One of the things we make sure that we do in any engagement is to figure out how the proposed initiative fits along with other types of initiatives. So one of the first things we'll be doing is a strategic planning meeting with the curriculum staff, Ms. Fury, and others to make sure that this algebra coaching model is not just for showing growth this year, but long term, especially as other end of course tests come online. Part of what we're proposing is a customized professional development series that matches the pace of the interim assessments, so that when interim assessments are given, there's professional development right afterwards in which we are looking at the data from students and we're making real-time adjustments. We don't offer you a canned professional development at all. We sit down and we thoroughly customize it with your stakeholder group. That would include administrators, teachers, and your central office staff. The biggest part of what we're proposing is coaching, both in-person intensive coaching for 10 of your coordinate algebra instructors, but the professional development for all of them. The 10 teachers that we select are those that we hope will be able to produce the most promising gains in learning. It's a similar strategy that we've employed before and seen great results from. One of the things about the coaching that we're particularly excited about here is we have one of the most outstanding algebra coaches that I think you could find. We're lucky to have her on staff, and she's started to get to know the context of your Algebra 1 desires here. She is an accomplished instructional coach. She understands adult learning theory like most instructional coaches don't, and she has produced significant gains with her own students who are primarily low income and Latino. She saw a 100% AP statistics pass rate among her students, and she was able to coach other teachers to similar types of results. We think her content knowledge is some of the strongest that we've ever seen. So we're happy to have her work on this project if it's approved. The second thing is we have another coach. Her name is Carol Hernandez. She'll be primarily one of the online coaches, just another strong coach. Carol worked as part of an initiative we had in the DC public schools, in which we saw over a 2-year period double-digit gains in both ELA and mathematics in the middle school. The final thing that we're offering is specialized project management. We have 3 layers of management. First is a partnership manager who is your coach. She will be the day-to-day person. That she is supported by a managing director who's a senior level person at Insight, and then an executive from Insight who's myself. And I'll be here to help with project management as well. So I think I think you have an outstanding opportunity here with ViewPath to leverage the coaches and to provide specific concrete examples of what the type of algebra instruction that you're looking for. So yeah, I'll stop there. I'll answer any questions that the board may have or the superintendent.
One question, please.
Yes, sir.
Emphasizing algebra, are there other components?
Sure. Your end of algebra course test consists of 3 domains: statistics, geometry, and and algebra functions. It's all of those, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Connie.
I have a question.
Sure.
You said that it was gonna be done like a hybrid. So with it being done by a hybrid, are you saying like, and I don't know, Shannon, you may want to chime in on this as well, is the plan to have all the history teachers paired up with this one coach?
It's the algebra teachers. So we'll for all of the
I'm sorry, I said history.
It's okay. We'll do history too. No, so the plan is all of your algebra teachers will be in the professional development series. We'll target 10 of them for intensive coaching. That means they'll have both live coaching, where the coach I told you about will be with teachers in person, in class, working with them, as well as offline as well, utilizing the ViewPath system. And both Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Dudley will be doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. So the hybrid means it's not just purely online. We felt like, and in the conversation that we had with the team here, that purely online was probably not going to accelerate the type of gains that you wanted, but perhaps using both intensive in person as well as online would get the type of results that you were seeking in a shorter term. It's our belief.
What else?
You mentioned that a lot of the teachers that you had conversations with concerned with being bombarded with so many different programs. During your process, do you all evaluate what we already have in place to see if these
Absolutely.
particular programs integrate with each other?
Absolutely. It's one of our primary objectives during the strategic planning session. I've been where Ms. Fury is. I don't like wasting money. I don't like wasting the people's money. I feel very, very passionately about that, sir. And so the last thing I want is any redundancy that we might offer. And if we can leverage something so you need even less of us, then that's good for us. Yes, sir. Okay.
One added question to your comment. Would that be also the technology that we're using presently to promote student achievement, whatever area that would be in?
It will take, during the strategic planning process, we're going to take a full, so here's what will happen during that time. In the morning, we'll spend observing algebra teachers to see where they are, get a general sense of where they are. We'll then meet back here. And then we'll go through and look at curricular materials. We'll look at budget around the curricular materials. We'll look at what seems to be effective, what seems to be ineffective, and then we'll roll that into the plan that we use.
What concerns me is that this is not just another program to put on the desk of the principals and the teachers.
Absolutely.
And if it cannot be, one that will replace some existing programs, then I may have a hard time accepting its use.
Yeah, I could understand
That's
that.
my
Yes, sir, I understand that concern. I think the superintendent and her staff also share that same concern. It's one that was central to our first conversation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I have one more,
Okay.
last one. It's for Mrs. Buff, though.
Okay.
What is the feedback of the teachers like with this program? And the only reason why I'm asking that is because a lot of times we'll approve a program for that professional learning, and then I think they're not as receptive to the program. I mean, I just can use some things like Springboard in the past and stuff. And so I just kind of want to get the feedback. And I know Ms. Fudge said that it was great for her, but she would, in my opinion, be like that model teacher because, you know, she's always in here doing some type of presentation for us. So I want to hear about the other teachers that may not. What is the pros and cons?
Well, I did speak to some coordinate algebra teachers. We actually, and just to address a little bit of what Mr. Johnson's concerns were, with the professional learning, we already have days for professional learning built into our calendar. So these are not additional days that he's talking about because they're already there. So it's something that we already have that we're going to try to enhance by using the consulting services. The teachers that I spoke with, specifically our content specialist for high school math, was very excited about the prospect. And it's for the same reason that Ms. Fudge just said. It's a math teacher. And it's not just any math teacher, it's a math teacher who's had AP experience. AP is College Board. Springboard is College Board. And one thing that the content specialist shared with me is that it's a lot easier for someone to understand the Springboard material if they've had AP experience. So I think that will be very, very beneficial. And one thing that I would like to also speak about is one of the steps that they take to make sure that this works is they establish a relationship with the teacher. So the coach doesn't just come in and sit in the classroom and then give them an observation and leave. They start a conversation. One of the things Ms. Futch shared with me is that they ask, what do you want to improve on? What are some things we should look for? How can we help you? And so I think that is something that is, the teachers take it much better when it comes from them. I can tell you from personal experience, when I was an assistant principal, the feedback I gave in social studies classes was received much better than the feedback I might give in a math class because I'm a social studies person and they know that. And so it's kind of the same thing. If you have someone who goes into a classroom that hasn't taught that math material before, it's really easy to just blow off what they say as just them writing on a paper. But if it's someone who's taught it, it's really hard. And like she said, you can't argue with what you see on the screen.
All right.
One other comment. How did you conclude that it would be 10 coaches, whereas we have in excess of 5,000 high school students? How did you come up with the 10? Why not? I'm just going to throw out a number, 15, 20.
Part of the 10 was what the superintendent and her staff could locate resources for. We certainly do coaching at scale within a district, but for two reasons. One, I think rightfully so, superintendent wanted to make sure that this was effective, and secondly, if we went to expansion, and then even with us helping out with some of the fee schedule, that it was 10. Certainly, we have the capacity to add more if that's necessary.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. I think that concludes the presentation. Moving on to the enrollment report.
In your packets, you should find the enrollment report dated September 5th, 2013. Our enrollment as of September 5th is 19,481 students. This time last year was 19,142, so we have added 339 students over the past year. In addition to that, you just received average class sizes. That was a request from the board. I want to just share that with you. We have elementary, middle, and high school class sizes just so that you can have some comparisons to see how large each of the classes are in each of the schools. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to entertain them.
Do we have any questions? I know, not giving much time to digest this information.
Right, it may be a
I
next
was
week
gonna say,
discussion.
I think maybe what we need to do is take a look at it,
Yes,
and then we
yes,
can,
ma'am.
bring it back up for discussion next
Let
week.
me ask one from the hip, if I may use that language here. Let's take the first one. I want to say,
East Newton?
yes, well, that's not a variation I was looking at. Flint Hill.
Yes, sir.
You got the fourth grade average of 28.
Yes.
Why would we be a 28 in the fourth grade? And I'm trying to understand the numbers.
Okay.
And when you got 21 in the first grade.
Okay, the first part, I guess if I'm answering your question correctly, based upon the grade span, there are different maximum class sizes. The original maximum class size for K through 3 was, well, actually, 1 through 3 was 21. So the number that you could max out at is at 21. Fourth, fifth grade go up to 28. And so that's why you're gonna see those type of differences in there. Originally, like kindergarten used to be 18. We now have a class size waiver in which we add 5 students beyond what the original maximum class average was.
I know this is time consuming to put it in, but the relationship that I need to evaluate this or have some concerns is what we're required to have. You know, the variations that you just explained.
Yes, sir.
How does it apply by the numbers of the 28 that what am I saying? If the fourth grade is average 25,
Okay.
when we got 28,
Yes.
okay. But I don't know what that average is.
So you would like to know what okay, I can get that information for you. If I'm,
See, it doesn't tell me.
So
Okay.
you want to know
what the maximum
max
average
number
is per grade
per grade.
level.
Right, so this is the only way I
Okay.
can analyze it and come up with some good judgment.
just-
I can get that document for you, yes, sir.
I don't want to create any work, but I
It,
want
it actually is not any work at all. That'll be a simple fix.
Thank you, and we can get that information, then bring it back up for discussion next week if we have any questions.
I'll take care of it. I'll have it for you.
Thank you.
Okay?
All right, I believe we have no old business, and so now we'll move on to our new business.
One other question
Oh, I'm
on the
sorry.
enrollment report.
Yes, sir.
Any idea where the new enrollment's coming from? Are the imports, or are we getting from home schools?
Sir, that is
Or is it just?
that's a very good
High
question.
School? Which one is
Yeah,
it?
I think it's that Newton High School. But very good question, sir. From everywhere, you have people who are transitioning in, and for a variety of reasons. But we have a lot of people just transitioning in one school, for example, an elementary school that has stagnant enrollment for a very long time. They're growing, and so people are coming in from all over. It's a good thing.
One other question, maybe Peggy, when will this increase in enrollment hit our bottom line in terms of revenue?
In the spring, the state will do an interim adjustment. Last year, we got 900,000 extra dollars, so it's like we possibly might have been this year.
And we have potentially a higher number in enrollment this year than we had last year.
Right.
Okay. Thank you kindly. When you say spring, that comes in January, right?
Early spring. Yes, sir.
Dr. Lockhart,
Yes, sir.
is there a possibility for us getting the number of vacant homes in each district? Because that information could kind of give us an idea of some anticipated increase in particular schools based on where those homes are located. You understand my question?
Yes, sir. We can certainly investigate.
In the past, we've worked with, I can't remember which governmental agency, and they actually have maps with charts that have the population and vacancies but it's based on foreclosures, so I don't know that it will tell you everything that you want to know, but it'll certainly give us an
It'll give
indication.
us an idea of
Yeah.
what, may be coming down the road.
Right.
Right. I think
Yes,
we've
sir.
got the charts still from last year that we can take a look at as well. At least give you an idea.
All right, if there's no other questions on enrollment, we will move on. There's no old business, so now new business. Ms. Buff requested board action relative to Insight Education Consultants, which.
I'll take it.
Oh, you'll take it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The superintendent recommends the purchase of consultant services from Insight Education Group Services, including strategic planning, customized professional learning, and coaching services for specific teachers. The strategic planning session will be provided at no cost to the district, and all other services will be provided at a discounted rate of $95,950. The original cost was $119,000. The total cost to the district will be paid from federal Title II-A funds.
All right. Any more questions on this program at this time?
Only $20,000 off? You live in Stockbridge, right? That's next door.
All right, if there are no more questions, we'll move on to item B, surplus items. Mr. Barr.
Good evening. Item B, the superintendent recommends the items identified be declared surplus and disposed of per board policy DO. Included in the recommendation tonight are items from Herd Mixon Elementary School, Oak Hill Elementary, Mansfield Elementary, and the Service Center. And that concludes item B.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Are any of these items here that we're discarding, could they possibly be used in the Career Academy for any students that may be having some classes, computer classes, anything of this nature we could give to them?
Those items that are still usable, we post on a website and offer to the schools. These items are really no longer usable at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's VCR.
Excuse me, follow up,
Yes,
you
sir.
say you post them, make them available for the schools with an S?
Right. Any school can view the item online.
Oh, you're talking about Newton County schools? or
Right. No, Newton
outside?
County School System.
Oh, okay. I want to make sure you're talking internally. Thank you.
I believe that's it. Item C, Dr. Lockhart, okay. I'm sorry, my cheat sheet is, hold on, wrong time.
Adjust it.
This is an item being brought before you for action. Our recommendation, the superintendent recommends a continuation grant in the amount of $313,174 and a new grant for $447,392 for the 21st Century Community Learning Centers to be approved. Allow for me to provide a little bit more background information. Newton County School System received a federal grant in 2011 from the Georgia Department of Education to provide funds for operating 21st Century Community Learning Center after-school programs for a total of 175 students at 3 schools: West Newton Elementary, Indian Creek Middle, and Newton High School. In 2012, a new federal grant was awarded to expand 21st Century services to 250 additional students at Alcovey High, Clements, Cousins, Liberty, and Veterans Memorial Middle Schools.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? Or do we have any questions on item C?
I don't.
Right? Shaquila? No?
No questions.
All right, we need to take a vote on this evening, so do we have a motion to approve item C?
So move.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and it passed. Moving on to item D, Mr. Shattuck.
Ms. Ferry, Madam Chairwoman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Item D is The superintendent recommends the Safari montage components needed for the school system be purchased from Audio Enhancement Incorporated of Bluffdale, Utah. Safari Montage is a comprehensive suite of products designed to fulfill the digital media distribution and visual instructional needs of all of the K-12 school system. The solution will provide teachers and students access to thousands of segmented and searchable video, still images, video links, audio files, and other documents. It will allow administrators to manage their digital media effectively while improving teaching, learning, and achievement for students in the classroom. The selected technology needed includes rack-mounted and standalone encoders, as well as core K-12 math, science, reading, and social studies content packages and the requisite subscriptions and licenses. The school system will utilize a competitively bid contract managed by PIM, a national technology bidding and purchasing program, to purchase the Safari montage components needed for all schools. The estimated contract value is $200,000. The funds will be coming from the technology department budgeted funds.
All right, any questions?
Well, I'm going to be consistent in my concern. New programs, I know, Doctor, we had a conversation a couple of 3 meetings ago where I made the statement that I have not seen any deletions of any programs that we've ordered. They just sit in the system. What system will this one be replacing, or which one that we can reduce? In light of, we just got a presentation on new technology on our UPath technology, putting additional information on the principal's desk. What will this be replacing?
MediaCast.
And what specific benefits that we can measure that we can get out of this?
It'll be replacing MediaCast, which we've been using for 6 years, but found it inadequate for our needs as we moved into the digital technologies. This offers content which MediaCast did not offer. The content is 7,000 videos, the core part of it. Additional videos or content can be purchased. But the core content that we'll be buying initially is 7,000 videos, and it's all segmented out. So you don't have to watch a 23-minute video if the first 2 or 3 minutes will do. And it's all not just segmented, but it explains what that segment is. So it makes it very easy for the teachers to use because they can find exactly what they're looking for very easily.
Okay, one other, appreciate that. What costs will we be replacing here? Do we have continuous monthly expense on this system that we are replacing with this?
We were paying an annual fee for maintenance and support for MediaCast. So the cost of the content is $26,000. We were spending $21,000 a year for MediaCast. So the cost differential is negligible. So it'd be basically a zero-sum difference. Was that answering your question?
Not really,
Sorry.
but I don't know at this point, just reading this, how to rephrase it so I can get a different answer. Thank you.
All right, if there are no more questions, we don't have to take a vote on this tonight, so we'll be voting on this next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Item E, Dr. Lockhart.
The superintendent recommends approval of the use of facilities at Porterdale Elementary by New Rock Youth Football.
All right. Do we have any questions on this issue? Because we will be taking a vote on this evening.
Were you asking for a vote on this tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a schedule as to what, that it may be conflicting, if any conflicts that we'll be using?
Actually, the schedule is provided within our documentation, I believe. This was approved usage by the principal, and I will go on to say that I've worked with Mr. Jacobs. He is a very, very good steward of the school system's facilities. He takes care of everything, and he's an outstanding leader.
this is something that we have,
I'm looking for the actual,
It's Monday,
dates.
Tuesday.
It's a Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Okay,
and Thursday.
yeah, right, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, thank you, from July 2013 to November 2013.
They even provide their own portable toilet.
Yes.
that's a necessity.
That
And we've
is.
been,
That's a
I guess they've
plus.
been, we've been in partnership since 1988, I think, is what I'm reading on the contract. So, all right. Does anybody have any other questions or concerns?
I offer the motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
All right, do we have a second on the acceptance?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the motion passes. Item F.
Okay. Superintendent requests that the board approve the personnel recommendations made during the executive session.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Other matters of interest? All right, well, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We adjourn till next Tuesday.
I guess we could mention Newton was the winner of